I was married, I got divorced, and my daughter basically was getting married. She called me and she said, Abba, I'm pregnant. I'm going to have a baby soon. I said, I'm coming back to the States, and I want to be there for your granddaughter's birth. So in the first week of her birth, I went to see her, and I thought about it. I said, I think I have an interesting story and I want to be able to tell it to people. When the baby was born and I got the enjoyment of seeing my first granddaughter, I thought, let me write about my life and how I came to this status in life where I can say thank you to God who has helped me reach this level and blessing in my life for the next generation. The book is about generations. It's about keeping the tradition and passing the tradition on. Yeah, well, this is a great motivation because I said to myself, how am I so fortunate to be able to have children and now to see my grandchildren. So I have a brother and a sister. My brother recently passed away. My sister got married late, didn't have any children. So this is my way. I've always been pursuing a traditional way, keeping Sabbath, keeping kosher. And when I got married, my wife and I decided to keep these things and work on ourselves to grow in our tradition. And this is why I wanted to put my life experience into a certain perspective to help others see that yes, it can be done. And I think empower one with making the right choices. The Torah is a book with many levels, and you have to always try to be optimistic and positive regarding how to make the best choices in your life. So the more you delve into the tradition and see the greater wisdom of the Torah, gives you a little insight into our tradition and how it can actually help one grow in their own path, in their own spiritual journey.
How will people be able to benefit from that, to read your book?
Well, what I do is I take a little spin on what I've learned in school and in my hometown of Springfield, Mass. We went to a supplementary Jewish education, which was 3 days a week at the Simon Bacon School. He actually lived to over 100, and he also settled in Israel with his family. And there, I had 6 hours a week extra learning, For me, it was just nothing. What really helped me in my hometown of Springfield, Massachusetts, was when they were decided for the junior congregation to have a leader, a chazan, who's a cantor who helps us sing the prayers with the regular groups. That's where I kind of started seeing the Hebrew letters and the music associated with the Hebrew and the cantillation of the prophets, and I became very much interested in singing, and I did it for many years until I was bar mitzvahed. By the time I was bar mitzvahed, I knew how to read the cantillation, and I even learned how to teach it. So, and this all helped me. I think a Jew's focus, if he really wants to get into the tradition, he has to understand that Hebrew is the unique language. It's multi-level layers of understanding because the language is kadosh. Kadosh means it's holy, it's sanctified, it's purification of the soul that brings a Jew to the highest levels as long as he's learning Torah and applying that in actual life. So at this stage of my life, I've actually come to learn, and I've come to share my learning, because that's the purpose of Torah. This week is we're counting between Passover and Shavuos, the Omer period. So we're on day 29th of the Omer, and it was during the Omer that the students of Rabbi Akiva passed away. 24,000 students. Now, how was it that they had a judgment against him to pass away during this time? And it was on Lag BaOmer, which is like 5 days from now, that they stopped. So in other words, this is a time, how would I even understand what happened? Rabbi Akiva was a great Torah personality, and we have to see what he was trying to achieve. But these students didn't share their Torah, and that's one of the reasons why they actually had this misfortune. They were arguing, which is normal in the Talmud to argue, but they weren't having this proper respect for one another. And this is what's important. The second temple was destroyed because they didn't have the proper respect for one another, even though they were religious. So I want to bring this to the table. The unity of the Jewish people revolves on the sharing of Torah and the development. Each individual has the power to develop his own connection with God, and then have for the community and for the self a certain balance. This is called the midah, or the attribute of really Jacob, who later was known as Israel, as the balance of beauty, and it's a balance of kindness and holding back, which is chesed and gevura. So that's the balance. This book talks about finding a balance in your life. I explain, given the trials and tribulations of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, who were the main fathers of the faith, and it was because of their merit that they worked for the Creator, who spoke with them individually even before the Torah was given, that the nation of Israel came about in the second book, in the book of Shemot, or Exodus, they say in English, and they were able to form themselves a nation. So, what happened from the first man to the creation of the Jewish people? What was God want to bring to the world? He wanted the Jewish people to be a light upon the nations, and this is what this book is about. For all the nations to see the history, what's happened, now that Israel has close to 50% of world Jewry, and the mission of Moses is still alive within the Jewish tradition, even though Moses never really set foot on the land. The power of the Jewish people is that the blessing of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, called Israel, exists today. The land, the people, the Torah, and the land are one. And they still exist. And the Jews are still trying. And the Jews are building. Throughout all the generations, the Jews have found faith, and the faith that we learn by trial, experience, pushing away doubt, and seeking Hashem in our lives. And everybody has a spiritual quality in which they could find Hashem.
Who will read this book? Who's your audience?
My audience is everybody. Because I'll tell you why. Because the Jews were slaves in Egypt thousands of years ago. They were redeemed because of the merit of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, as I mentioned earlier, the English names. Now, these are the Hebrew personalities. So Hashem had to reveal himself. He took them out for a newfound freedom. but it wasn't freedom just to be your own thing and do your own self. I have a background in sociology. Groups develop, but we develop as a people by seeking and gaining unity. When there's disunity, the power of Israel goes down, and the power of the other nations go up. And there's a symbiotic relationship between the Jewish people and the other nations. The other nations resemble Esau. Esau was the twin brother of Yaakov, and that's the West, America. America is now in a situation where things have changed. And this change, I believe, is for the nations. So my focus is on the Jewish nation. All those who never even walked in and stepped into a synagogue can get spiritual awareness and growth through reading this book. And the Gentile nations also, because I believe that in the future, Hashem, or the Creator, will reveal Himself to all the nations. And this time it will be for all the nations. It won't be just for the Jewish people.
What's unique about this book?
The unique is if you tap into the wisdom of the sages, it's a sense of power, empowerment. And you don't have to be Jewish really to tap into it, because it's basic. It's good. It's how to treat man and his neighbor, what is necessary to bring peace to the world. So this book really, if you follow the ideals of the book and the values of the book, it's the Torah values that Hashem wanted to bring not only for the Jewish people, but for the entire world.
How long did it take you to write the book?
It took me 5 years to write this book. I could have had it done in 2 or 3 years, but I waited. There was COVID. I also continued writing it in COVID as a response, and then I added a few more things. And I took it up to the current time in history where I believe the mask of COVID is because we're no longer treating each other with the proper respect. So Hashem has sent this virus, and basically He's given us the power to use our speech and our mouth for good things. And we haven't been doing it. So He sent this little virus for all the nations to cover their face. My hope in writing this book is to remove the mask from the face, turn behavior around where people start connecting with each other again in unity, peace, and brotherhood. This is why everybody, Jew and Gentile, can relate to this book.
What's your initial feedback? From people that have read it?
A lot of people, there's all different things. Some people have heard me speak, other people have read it, and many people are asking for copies. It's not yet complete, but I have I have a little bit of a following here, but it's taking time, and I'm finally seeking the publisher soon, and with the help of God, I'll get the book published. It will be out most likely in July. The idea is that it has 10 chapters between, and each chapter reflects my ideas of what I think is important, what happened to the world, what happened to the Jewish people, how do we fix it, how does the Jewish people come more united, how do we the whole world become more united as we become more global. You see, you have many different things affecting change in the world today, like the internet, phone, and technology, and there's a symbiotic relationship between learning and technology. Right now we have the technology to learn through Zoom and all these other forms of media, where anybody could learn Torah without even having a direct rabbi in front of you. So Jew, Gentile can all learn these ideas that can help you grow and help you understand what's happening in the world, because God promised to the fathers of the founding fathers of our faith, He promised them that we will be redeemed and there will be a redeemer even after the Egypt experience.
So the feedback has been positive?
The feedback has been great. I mean, I think everybody's looking for answers to why the world is so upside down. So here is a book that's going to give you some of the answers.
5782.
It's 5782. Yes, that is the current date. So if one day is 1,000 years for God, it hasn't even been a Shabbos yet. So what this book is about is preparing all the nations for the next Shabbos. Shabbos is on Friday night. If each day is 1,000 years, then we're like very close to Friday night, and the revelation may come sooner than expected. But we're approaching the 6,000 year mark, and that's the mark that Hashem has promised us to be redeemed through the what we call the Mashiach. So some messianic figure. There's a concept of God that's one, and He wants all the nations to respect this aspect of His name, which is kavod. Kavod is the respect that we have to have for Hashem. But this respect comes from the nuclear family and is passed on to the extended family with the values and the tradition of the Jewish people. So this is what I hope to do is, as the family is disintegrating, as certain values are disintegrating, where the me decade it's about universalistic values that put power and faith in man. I'm trying to bring back the faith that the God of Israel wanted for the Jewish people to be a light unto the nations. That's the whole purpose of this book, is to show the world, yes, the Torah is for everyone, and that the light of creation and the light of the tzaddikim, the righteous people who uphold the Torah through all the adversities and the negative anti-Semitic acts for thousands of years, are now coming to fruition, where Hashem is saying, just like in Egypt, in the time of Egypt, He heard their cries. He's hearing everybody's cries today, and soon He will reveal Himself, I believe, as He promised Abraham, Yitzchak, and Jacob. So this book is in preparation for all the nations to get on the right page.
Thank you, Barry Gruber, for this beautiful insight into your forthcoming book, and we wish you much success.
Thank you. Thank you very much.